My relationship with Sikhi was strained when I started to learn the difference between Naamdhari and regular Sikhs. They all dusre ya, oh khulle ya, daru pinde ya.
Who are they?
Exactly. Oh dusre ya. Behind closed doors, piche main drug bechan lag paya. So I became this person who used the Sikh identity to manipulate, lie and deceive people. So this might be a little bit controversial to some people. ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗਾ ਡਰੱਗ ਉਹ ਪਟ ਕੇ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਡਰੱਗ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਫੜਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ So I learned this type of stuff. I don't live with my parents anymore. I had moved out.
They were okay with you moving out?
To be honest with you, ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ Close to 2 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਫੋਨ ਕਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ Nobody tried to look for me. Nobody asked me to ਠੀਕ ਆ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ
You competed as well.
With that, where I decided to engage in a lot of PEDs, so like steroids. And then the voice does start to change, and so your menstrual cycle stops. You start growing body hair. My hair started to fall out. Did the prep, I did, the show, but at what expense?
Compared to all the podcasts ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂ past 'ਚ ਕੀਤੇ ਆ muscle mass ratio ਅੱਜ studio 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਵਧੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ because we have 3 people who go to gym, 1 person who's trying to go to gym, but it's gonna be a different podcast because I have 1 person from Soviet Union, Russia, right? And baki sare Punjabi are, right? And it's gonna be a really interesting podcast, but I would like to introduce the guest ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ We have Kartar, then we have Dasha, if I'm not saying it wrong.
You got it.
Right. So if you guys just want to give a little bit of introduction, then usto baad, there is a part where I want to get to, why I invite you here, right? But we'll get to it in a bit. But I want, for the people who are watching you guys for the very first time, जिन्हां नूं नहीं जानदे तुहानूं, right? Give them a little bit of introduction, who you guys are.
Okay, my name is Kartar. I go by Coach Kartar.
ਤੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਬੋਲ ਸਕਦਾ
Okay, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਬੋਲ ਸਕਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾਰ ਆ AKA Coach Kartar ਮੈਂ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਆਨਲਾਈਨ ਕੋਚਿੰਗ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਲਾਸਟ 10 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ 15 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ 16 ਸਾਲ I think 15-16 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਆ ਤੇ I mean that's basic about me right I'm from Kenya, Nairobi, so I'm not Canadian born. I am an immigrant. And that's very basic about me.
Okay. You.
Yeah.
Your introduction.
My introduction. Okay, yeah. I'll keep it short and sweet. My name is Daria, but everyone calls me Dasha, just easier for pronunciation's sakes. I'm a sports nutrition coach. I'm a muscle activation technique specialist and currently in school for naturopathy. I am an ex-bodybuilder turned endurance athlete, so I'm all into the high rocks CrossFit stuff now. Similar story that I used to be a PT, transitioned into the online fitness space with my husband. We have a business together called Dynamic Performance. Similar immigrant story. My family immigrated from Ukraine to Canada in 1999, and we've been here ever since. So,
That's great. Their husband wife. They didn't mention that, but their husband wife. Punjabi, Russian, right? Multicultural Canada. Now, so like kids ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕਲਚਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਖਾਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇੱਕ ਰੀਲ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰੀ ਦੇਖੀ ਸੀਗੀ where you're talking about cutting your hair. Right? ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਬਾਲ ਕਟਾ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ and you had feelings behind it, right? I don't feel that proud feeling after cutting the hair. That's me, right? I feel that's the mistake I made and I'm still on the way to correct it one way or another. But you have a different opinion about it. So walk me through ਕਿਉਂ ਤੂੰ ਵਾਲ ਕਟਾਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਰਾਈਟ ਐਂਡ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਕੇ you feel that feeling which you were trying to share in the reel?
Okay, so ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟੇ ਸੀ I cut them because of many different reasons behind it, right? So ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟਣੇ ਆ ਔਰ ਦਾੜੀ ਕੱਟਣੀ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਆ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ whatever job I wanted to do, it involved me wearing a pug, dadi rakhniya. But not very many people knew unorthodox Sikhi ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ raise ਕੀਤਾ my family ਨੇ. So they're from Naamdhari. They're Naamdhari. Now, some people would consider them part of Sikhi. Some people would say that they're not Sikh, right? And so my relationship with Sikhi was strained when I started to learn the difference between Naamdhari and just Orthodox or the regular Sikhs, right? ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੰਮੀ ਡੈਡੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਹ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਖਰਾਬ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਦਾਰੂ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਆ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਆ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟਦੇ ਆ ਮੀਟ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਆ
who are they?
Exactly. ਦੂਸਰੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਮਧਾਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਆ
ਓਕੇ ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਾਮਧਾਰੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਾੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਆ
ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਛੋਟਾ ਸੀ ਆਹ ਗੱਲ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਮੈਂ this is wrong ਆਹ ਗਲਤ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਆ ਬਟ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ right? I was like maybe like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. So growing up, ਮੈਂ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ I didn't really understand. ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ confused ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ because ਇੱਕ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਮੰਮੀ ਡੈਡੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ like be proud to be Sikh but ਆਪਾਂ ਨਾਮਧਾਰੀ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ but be proud of it. ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਮੂਵ ਹੋ ਗਏ my first exposure to Punjabis and Sikhi was ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ 16 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ 17 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ right? Had never heard of Punjabi music before, didn't even know it existed to be honest with you.
Kenya ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ ਤੂੰ?
So ਆਪਾਂ Kenya ਤੋਂ ਆਏ ਸੀ 2002 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 2002 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਪਾਂ
and how old you were that?
9 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ initially ਆਪਾਂ Scarborough ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਤਾਂ there's not very many Sikhs Punjabis ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਇੱਕ ਦੋ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਬਟ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ they were Punjabi because everyone's kind of integrated everyone looks the same. So ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਆਏ ਮੈਂ 16 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ I had never seen this many Punjabi people in my life aside from ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਨਾਮਧਾਰੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਸੀ ਸੋ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟੇ ਇੱਥੇ what's going on ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਨਾਮਧਾਰੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਸਾਰੇ ਤਾਂ ਵਾਲ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ ਪੱਗ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਚਿੱਟੇ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ so again more confusion I'm like how comes ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟਦੇ ਆ ਦਾੜੀ ਕੱਟਦੇ ਆ ਆਹ ਗਾਣੇ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਆ right
so ਤੂੰ ਕਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਗਾਣੇ ਸੁਣੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ like you never heard
so ਘਰੇ only kirtan only like whatever religious music my parents had introduced to me, that's the only thing I had exposure to, right? So I didn't know Punjabi music existed. There was a Punjabi music industry. Okay. So initially, oh sunke minu thoda ja like first of all, I didn't understand the music, right? What was around me was basically just rap, hip hop, rock. That's what I grew up listening to. So Punjabi music was very different for me. So I felt kind of lied to by my parents. I felt kind of pulled away from the rest of society and kind of isolated because initially growing up, I felt like kind of an outsider with everyone else because I was the only kid with a juda at school.
Like you felt outsider in brown community.
Exactly.
Okay.
So even outside of the brown community, I didn't fit in.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah.
Which is normal.
Yeah.
But ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਆਇਆ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ like fit in ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਇਆ or I didn't feel like it because my understanding of Punjabi people, Sikh, their religion was so different from everybody's. So ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਤੇ I just want to be accepted and want to fit in with a group. But ਮੈਂ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟਣੇ ਮੈਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਮੈਂ okay ਆ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਭੰਗ ਭੁੰਗ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਸ਼ਰਾਬ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਆ they're the cool guys okay ਮੈਂ ਵੀ ਏਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਆ so I started to do that stuff not only because I wanted to fit in but because having been isolated for the majority of my life I had started to get very depressed I had started to feel these feelings of I guess
not accepted from your crews and friends around you
yeah thoda ja vi main like suicidal vi ban gaya si the depression went that
what age
about 15 16 So मैं एक चीज़ लभन लग गया, happiness to joy. Because Sikhi तो मैं happiness and joy derive नहीं कर सकता सी. So मैं होर किते लभन लग पिया. ते I went down the wrong path. I went down the path of drugs and alcohol. They my gym we shuru karti si, obviously. Like I had an interest in sports and fitness and health, but contradictory, like health does not match with drugs and alcohol. Some of the people around me kind of showed me, okay, you have to take advantage of your identity as a Singh. People trust you. People know that, just by looking at you, you're somebody that they can rely on, and you are a stand-up member of society. But behind closed doors, piche main drug bechan lag paya, main daru pinda si, and I was basically like in this realm of like identity na hide karna hai wo cheez, right? Because no one could tell, right? So I let go of any thoughts about finding my true identity or happiness. I just started to see my identity as a Singh as something that I could, cover my face over and do everything behind closed doors, because bande puchu hone, they'll trust me, they'll look at me.
Singh idda nahi karte, Singh idda nahi kar sakta,
exactly,
right? Okay.
Right? So as I continued down that path, right? Obviously, mummy daddy ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਕੀ ਆ, ਨਸ਼ੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ, ਡਰਗ ਡੁਗ ਵੇਚਦਾ ਆ, and they had a talk with me. I'm like, okay, ਜੇ ਮੈਂ correct path ਤੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਆ, this is what I want to do, because this time I was already like 17, 18. ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲ ਕਟਾਉਣੇ ਆ, I want to go into athletics, ਮੈਂ gym ਕਰਨਾ ਆ, I want to go into a career that's fitness and health related, right? I don't want to use my identity as a Singh they खराब चीज़ां करनियां हैं और गलत चीज़ां करनियां हैं, because at that time I had gotten so far away from Sikhi, because it was generally like forced on me after I started asking questions. ते आप मैनू समझ नहीं आउंदा कि explain करो आपां ऐदां क्यों करदे हैं, चुप कर जा, stop asking questions.
So they don't explain why people are different in Sikhi, why Naamdhari ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ there's so many different societies, I would say, in Sikhi जिन्हां दी अपनी different practices are, right? At certain point when parents they don't know the difference, it's hard for them to explain it to their kids, right? कि इहनूं की दसीए. Exactly. But at that point they're just like ਅਸੀਂ क्या कर.
Exactly, right? So मैनूं कोई answer नहीं मिले. What happened was I just began a resentment towards Sikhi, because I didn't get the answers I was looking for. At the time, like, internet ज़्यादा चीज़ां नहीं सीखियां about Sikhi, and there was nobody really talking about these subjects, so I kind of just left it. I'm like, okay, मैं वार नहीं कट सकता, so मैं इन्हां नाल कुछ करना है. So I became this person who used the Sikh identity as a Singh to manipulate, lie, and deceive people. And
give me an example.
So this might be a little bit controversial to some people, but मैं पटका पढ़ने लग पिया सी, काला कपड़ा ना, which my parents were like, काला नहीं पा सकते सिर ते, चिट्टा पाना है, whatever. I didn't listen to them. ते मैं जूड़ा पिछे नूं करदा सी. ते मैं एक बंदे तो देखिया सी, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪਟਕਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਨੂੰ ਬਣਦਾ ਸੀ, ਤੇ ਡਰੱਗ ਉਹ ਪਟਕੇ ਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਪਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ, and he would drive around, and ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ drug ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕੱਢ ਕੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਫੜਾ ਦੇਣਾ ਆ, ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ. So I learned this type of stuff, and over time I realized, obviously ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਸੀ ਗਲਤ ਆ, but then those feelings of like guilt started to pile on. Like, bro, ਤੂੰ ਕਰਦਾ ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੀਸ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਸ਼ਕਲ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦਾ ਸੀ. I became very, very like resentful of
But
myself.
Money didn't give you happiness because you were making money?
No.
No? Okay.
No, money, I've had lots of money at one point.
Because normally people do this stuff for money.
पैसे तो आ गए सी.
Yeah, so that was the goal, right? You wanted to make money. So money to baad, you didn't feel good? Okay, even I'm doing wrong stuff, but I'm making money.
एक चीज़ मेरे दिमाग च सीगी कि ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਗਲਤ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ, I'm going to get bad karma for it. right? So
But you still do it.
I still did it.
Yeah.
I was still doing it. So मैं आ चीज़ां करदा सी with the acceptance of bad karma coming my way. ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਪੈਸੇ ਮੈਂ ਬਣਾਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਛੇਤੀ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਉਨੀ ਛੇਤੀ ਨਿਕਲ ਗਏ. Right? So at some point, maybe I was like 23, 24, 25, my brain started to think it's like, okay, ਕਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਆ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਛ ਕਰ ਲਾ ਹੋਰ ਕੁਛ ਲੱਭ ਲਾ. So I started looking at different options because at the time ਮੈਂ athletic therapy ਸਕੂਲੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ enroll ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ. I didn't finish that, right? I started looking at other avenues, real estate, right? So I enrolled myself in real estate.
Isn't like adda Brampton real estate?
I know,
that,
yeah.
right?
ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ.
Like yeah, it comes with the driving license.
Exactly. Right. ਸਾਰੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ.
Yeah.
So that was my initial thing is like, okay, cool. Like I can get certified in something. मैं कुछ कर सकਦਾ ਹਾਂ. मैं sales already करदा सी. Right. So essentially I'm like, okay, ਆ ਚੀਜ਼ it makes sense for me to go into. Right. So ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਲੈਣਾ ਸੀ ਮੈਂ ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸੋਚੀ. I'm like, ਮੈਂ ਪੱਗ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਆ or ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਹੁਣ. I don't live with my parents anymore. I had moved out.
How was that transition like? They were okay with you moving out?
To be honest with you, ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ. ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਮੈਂ ਨਿਕਲ ਗਿਆ. I just left. I didn't have ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ.
There should be a feeling behind it.
I was hoping ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਬਾਹਰ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ I would get a call. ਤੂੰ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ? ਤੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਆ? ਕੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ? ਕਿੱਥੇ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਆ? Close to 2 ਸਾਲਾਂ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਫੋਨ ਕਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਿਆ. Nobody tried to look for me. Nobody asked me ਤੂੰ ਠੀਕ ਆ? ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ? ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ.
There must be a story behind that too.
Right? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So obviously I felt again
You're telling your
alone,
story, but I
lonely,
don't know their story.
Right? So from when I reconnected with them afterwards, it was very difficult for them. Right?
How was the first couple days when you left the house? Where did you go?
ਗੱਡੀ 'ਚ.
You slept in your car.
ਗੱਡੀ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਸੀ.
You lived in your car. You slept where you take showers and stuff. Gym.
ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਿਲੇ ਸੀ
Yeah.
ਉੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ.
So you left your parents' house. You start living in your car. Then you start taking showers at gym. Then roti pani.
ਉੱਥੇ ਮੈਂ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ.
Gym ਚ?
Yes.
Okay.
ਮੈਂ ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. So it made sense. Okay, early ਆਉਂਦਾ ਆ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਉੱਥੇ shower ਕਰਦਾ, workout, trains his clients. ਪੈਸੇ ਮਿਲਦੇ I would go get groceries. At the time, I had not started eating meat, right? So I was still vegetarian. So like preparation of the food and whatnot was kind of simple. मैं बाहरों भी ला लंदा सी. So although it was difficult living in my car for a bit, I found...
Talk about the mental state when you were going through that period.
Very depressed, very lost, very angry. ਬਹੁਤ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਸੀ ਦਿਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਸੀ. So I was very angry at myself. I'm like, I should have made better choices when I was younger. ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਆ, ਮੈਂ ਗੱਡੀ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦਾ ਆ. And the only thing that I would try to do is just numb myself with smoking weed. Right? At that time, ਮੈਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪੀਂਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ, whatever, right? So ਮੈਂ drug ਵੇਚਦਾ ਸੀ, drug ਵੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. When I say drugs, I mean only like weed. It wasn't like anything else, but at the end of the day, it still is. It is what it is. It's still a drug. But I fell into this very deep state of depression and anger at that time.
ਉਦੋਂ ਕਦੇ ਏਦਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਇਆ ਮੈਂ ਮੁੜ ਜਾ ਵਾਪਸ?
ਬਹੁਤ ਵਾਰੀ ਸੋਚਿਆ ਸੀ.
Then what hold you back?
ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ previously, as a teenager, when I tried to leave, parents would act very nice, accepting, okay, ਵਾਪਸ ਘਰ ਆ ਜਾ, ਆਪਾਂ change ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ. After maybe like a week, 2 weeks, I was reminded as to why I wanted to leave in the first place. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ change ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰੂੰਗੇ, it would last very short period of time and then it would go back and I'll be like, okay, I'm leaving, bye, peace. So that time when I left, I'm like, ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ change ਹੋਊਗਾ, ਮੇਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਦੇ. One of the things I was really trying to get my parents to do was be healthy. Because at the time, ਮੈਂ personal training ਕਰਦਾ ਆ. And initially, one of the big things that I used to fight my parents over is like food at home. Galta cheezan banaunde hain. Dad, your health is horrible. You're on cholesterol medication. Stop eating like this. Exercise karo. A karo. Nahi, aapa nu rehne de. Do cardio. Nahi, aapa nahi karna. Tu gym kyun janda hai? Koi fayda nahi haiga. So after fighting with them back and forth for so long, I kind of just gave up and left.
So you leaving, did that fix anything?
Nothing. For me, nothing. Only nothing. Okay. The only thing that stopped was the fights, right? So no ladai at home. But it also put a strain on my relationship with my parents and, more importantly to me, my brothers. Apa char jane ha. I'm the oldest of the 4. They jadon main nikalya, my third brother, he started to go down the wrong path as well. So my job as an older brother was compromised because I left. He had no leader. He had no one to look up to. And he started going down the same path that I did, but a little bit worse. And to this day, I still blame myself for that, because if I had stayed at home, yes, okay, maybe nothing would have been fixed between me and my parents, but at least I would have saved my brother from not going down the wrong path, which he did suffer worse consequences than me. I think I got off a lot luckier than he did, right? But I also had a different mindset than he did.
How is he doing now?
He's much better. He spent a good amount of time in a place that not very many people want to be at a young age in their life.
Okay.
Te ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਪਸ ਘਰੇ ਆ ਗਿਆ, right? Me, my family, we had kind of reconciled, come back together. Okay, ਮੈਂ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ mature ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਗਲਤ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਛੱਡ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਭਦਾ ਸੀ ਹੁਣ. Right? Because when you have a younger brother who goes through that and you go visit him there week after week, 2-3 times, something starts to click in your brain. Something starts to go like, I could have been in that position. Right? So you start looking at what ways you went wrong. The life going forward kiddan change karni hai.
You had anger issues.
A lot. Hajivi, like, I'm dealing with it. I'm a lot better with it. But
yeah, because you fought with me once too.
yeah. I mean, Saryana, right? And this comes down to like, okay, main nashe kede karda si. What did it put my mindset into? Right? They also comes into like things like steroids at the time, right? Because main wo cheez bhi karda si pehla. And I think that had a lot to do with it, right? It's if you're putting things in your body that are going to change your mindset, Saryana ladai karda si. Right? I fought with my bosses, my managers, my coworkers, my friends, people who I know. So it all around like just came down to a lot of resentment, a lot of anger. I had to make a decision. Do I want to continue living like this? And the way I saw it is I had to make radical changes in my life. I associated my hair, my gaze, my identity as a Singh with all of those bad things. Right? As much as somebody can look at it and say, hey, like, you could have refreshed yourself, still kept your hair, still kept your dari, went back into Sikhi and been a good person, absolutely. But jalo main sochya, I had to make that decision to be like, okay, I think this is going to be good. If it's not a good decision, my hair will grow back. So I made that decision at the age of 28 to go cut my hair. And ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਵਾਲ ਕੱਟੇ, initially ਮੈਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ weird ਲੱਗਿਆ because I did it pretty late in life. Normally
you feel naked.
Oh yeah. Like my hair had sara, like I was so used to putting a patka on my head, so it was super weird. Super weird. So it took me some time to adjust. Then I realized I'm like sa aa gaya. मैं ਹੁਣ ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ relax ਹੋ ਗਿਆ. Because I didn't feel guilty anymore. Apart from what other people feel, usually they feel guilty. I had the opposite, right? So I felt a little bit more relieved, like, okay, don't do the bad things anymore. you don't have that identity, you can start fresh now, right? So that's initially my story of from the childhood to adult life, and my mindset towards cutting my hair, and then afterwards when I cut my hair.
Did anything change after that?
Yeah, actually, first day after I cut my hair in my gym again, everybody treated me differently in a good way. And ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਸੋਚਦਾ I'm like, ਕਿਉਂ? Like, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ. Like, what was it? Was it just my aura? Was it my vibe? Like, did I change? Is that why people perceived me differently and treated me a little bit better, a little bit nicer, a little bit more welcoming?
No, I'll tell you what that is. Being a Sikh is not easy.
No, it absolutely is not.
It's very hard. When I see a person who cut their hair, they feel कि साडे नाल कोई आगे लड़ गया. Now you're part of us.
Yep.
Right? So that wasn't, they were happy for you. They were like, okay, he used to stand out before because of his hair. Now he cut his hair. Now he's one of us.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So it's not, I've been through that feeling and I felt good. Then I was like, no. मैं फुद्दुआं जो लड़ गया.
Okay.
I don't stand out anymore. क्योंकि keeping case बड़े दिल वाले बंदे दा काम होता.
हाँ जी.
Right? So that's your childhood. How was your childhood? I mean, up to 28, I would say. Like, how did you get into fitness? And you used to do ballerina, I guess?
Yeah, no, I was, oh my gosh, my childhood is obviously a little bit different. In terms of like the religious sense, it wasn't as severe as what he went through, I'd say, in terms of like just like the overall mindset of the parents. But I had a lot of other issues in my childhood with my health. I was a little bit more, when we came to Canada, obviously, like I completely isolated, like I didn't speak the language. I was 5 years old. Like I was a child, right? I didn't really know anything where we were going until we got here. So I integrated into Canada rather easily because I learned the language from like a very young age. My dad, he was a marine engineer back home. So he sailed all around the world. So when they made the decision to come to Canada, like they knew that would mean like basically engulfing a new identity, like integrating me into society with different cultures, different races, different everything. So basically in that area of life, it was pretty easy going for me where like I didn't really obviously experience any racism. I didn't experience any like segregation, nothing like that. But it was really interesting because where I grew up was in Moulton and I grew up with all kinds of cultures. Like it was like literally like the perfect explanation of like a cultural mosaic, like from all types of religions to all different types of cultures. So I grew up around a lot of like Sikhs, a lot of Muslims, a lot of Christians, all kinds of people. So for me, that was never an issue. For me, it was more so when I started gaining a little bit of weight as a child, which most would classify as healthy, and I was in competitive ballet. I got pretty high up. I was going to be dancing at the Academy of Toronto eventually, but unfortunately the limiting factor for me was my weight. And multiple ankle sprains, I really couldn't recover from those. And then it took just one visit to the doctor because one of my ligaments, my lateral ligaments wasn't healing. And he looked at me and he's like, well, you know, you're not like the smallest thing I've seen. And I was like 10. I was like, oh my gosh, like that really like hurt. Like it sat with me, those words. So that for some reason clicked on my head and I'm like, I need to lose weight. And I became like this obsessive, I guess you could say the only thing I thought about was like working out and losing weight from the ages of like 10 to my early 20s because I was clinically diagnosed with anorexia. I had severe anorexia nervosa from the ages of 12 to 18. I basically stopped eating. For those who don't know what anorexia is, I stopped eating altogether. There was also like a lot of like binging and purging involved where I would eat a lot of food and then I'd make myself throw up. It was very difficult for my parents because as much as like they didn't know why it happened, I think a part of me was because I am an only child. My mom and dad, when they first came to Canada, all they had to do was work. So I was between babysitters. Like I didn't really have many friends. I didn't have my parents there in my life. And now that I look back to it, I think a lot of that had to do with me wanting them there. So it was almost like a cry for help at the same time as me dealing with this comment I got as a child, right? So it was a whole concoction of just like so much like mental and emotional, I guess, distraught that I went through. But the one thing I always tell when I tell my story is the reason why I even got into this career is because of a personal trainer who literally saved my life from this eating disorder. When my mom was basically like yeah, go ahead. Yeah. How? So when I was around the age of 16, my mom was basically the only one going around with me to like doctor appointments, like trying to figure out what to do with me. And then she brought me to the gym. She's like, okay, maybe if I get her in like a healthy environment with people actually taking care of their health, she'll learn from that. And when she brought me to the Mississauga YMCA, she asked them, she's like, do you guys have anybody that works with youth? And they had a trainer there. So she signed me up for sessions with him. It was like twice a week. She'd bring me from Orangeville at the time. We lived all the way down to Mississauga to work with this gentleman. His name is Luke. I don't know if he does this anymore, but basically what he did with me is he sat me down before every single workout and he would explain to me, teach me about like nutrition, about like why we need to eat, why we need to fuel our bodies for workouts. And he made it a very comfortable environment for me to essentially be able to learn about things properly without doing my own research and putting stupid ideas in my head. And then to actually take the time to, I think, just spend with me to go through a workout. And then after the workout, have lunch with me and stuff. So little by little, my relationship with food and fitness got in a very positive way. And ever since like those couple of months that I spent with him, I started to get into fitness as a health aspect rather than fitness as like a punishment aspect. Because before I used to use cardio and exercise as like a punishment tool when I would eat and stuff. But he helped me basically reframe my mindset towards this. So he was like the catalyst that basically got me wanting to help other people in terms of like, hey, like health and fitness is a really good tool for longevity, for so many positives. I want to be able to help other people do that as well. So it was literally because of him that I'm even in this industry today. But that, like, again, that was one part of it. And then when I got into university, I completely like went the opposite way where I gained on a bunch of weight. I started drinking, doing drugs, partying. I got into that whole like university lifestyle and I saw my health slip out of my hands again in a different manner in terms of I got completely unhealthy. And that's when like I realized after I finished university, I'm just like, I went to school for business in the first place and I realized that wasn't my passion. And again, my parents' involvement wasn't the best because again, working like busy with their own stuff. So I was kind of like on my own figuring this out. And then I realized that I'm like, I'm going to just go get my PT certification as a part-time job while I'm studying this stuff because I'm going to finish this business degree. So I was doing the two simultaneously. I was in school for business and then I got my PT certification and then I was working as a personal trainer. And that initiated me to fix my health because I realized how out of shape I was. And then it just kind of sort of flowed from that. Once I graduated university, again, I realized I didn't want to do that. So I took my PT more seriously. I went to school for muscle activation techniques, got into the more physical therapy side of things. And it's just been again, the catalyst since then. I've been doing this for like the last how many years, I think, since like, 15 years basically.
You competed as well.
I did bodybuilding, yeah. And that was another part of like, I feel like in my life, there's many like chunks of like just transitioning identities from like the really severely underweight girl to the overweight girl to then when I got into bodybuilding, I was around 22. That part of my life was like, I call it a redemption season where I wanted to prove to myself how much control I can really have over things like my eating and my training and to prove to myself that I can do something that's very difficult and I can make myself proud. So it turned out to be in a way like, yes, I proved to myself you can do the hard thing. I did the prep, I did, the show, but at what expense, right? That was the one thing that was missing is I went down the opposite route with that where I decided to engage in a lot of PEDs, so like steroids. And that came from, again, that desperation mindset of like, I'm willing to do anything to...
Why you were desperate?
I think a lot of it was like lack of self-fulfillment. Again, leading back to like my childhood with my eating disorder. And this is like a lot of stuff I'm just realizing now, like at this age, right? There was something inside me that was missing. Either I wasn't seen enough or I wasn't heard enough as a kid, or I've always felt like either abandoned or something really deeply rooted where I needed to constantly feel like I had to prove myself to something.
What gives you that feeling? Like when I think about any feeling, right, a picture comes in my head. What picture used to come in your head when you felt the feeling?
That's a good question. You know what? I feel like it's like me on a stage when I was like a little ballerina, and like I look out in the crowd and it's just empty, and it's like no one's there to see me type thing. I always like resort back to like, I think like you said, like a visualization of like this little girl who just never got any, I guess, attention in a way, but not attention and like, oh, look at me, but like actual love, like actual fulfillment and love from like either parents or friends or whatever, right? So
You think if your parents were there when you felt that feeling in your childhood, that could have changed something?
I think so. I think especially my mom, because my mom was like my best friend. She's like the only other person I really had. My dad, he had a little bit of a different upbringing where he was in the military. He was very like drill sergeant, like no emotions, like, you know, we don't laugh, we don't smile. Like it's literally like typical, like, you know, like, why are you crying? Like, what's wrong with you type thing, right? So he never really had that spot for me. And I was his only child. I was his only daughter, right? So I think if he allowed even my mom to be around more, and when I say allowed, I mean by like when, again, they came to Canada, they both had to hustle, both had to work. So my mom didn't really have time to be there with me as a mom. She was just between jobs, like, and then come home, feed me, you know, go about your day. I do truly think that if my parental involvement was a lot more throughout my childhood, my life would have taken a completely different course, right? I'm sure I would have had much better influences, and a sense of community, because when we did move here, like, I remember at one time my mom did want to find like either a Russian or Ukrainian community to like kind of be around more so that I can make friends and speak the same language. But my dad was always like, no, like, it doesn't matter, like, just go to work, like, type thing, right? So I do think that, yeah, maybe there would have been a bit of a different path for sure, yeah.
How was it like to, for the first time when you start using PEDs, right? If you're not comfortable talking about this, we can cut it apart, but I feel like in our community, we don't talk about this. We just hide it.
Yeah.
So as girls, they start taking stuff, their voice gets heavy, you know, and there are other things which I want to talk about later on. But as you start taking stuff and your voice start getting heavy, right, I'm pretty sure you went through stuff. I want to know, how was that like?
Yeah, so there's quite a bit of things. The first thing I think that I did notice was, and again, others around me noticed, was the behavioral changes in terms of like temper. Again, they say steroids don't necessarily make you a new person. They just kind of highlight what's already there, right? So whether I was always a hothead or not, I can't really know, but I got a little bit more aggressive, like a little bit more like manly, like thinking I'm like, you know, I'm cool and tough and stuff, and it's very subtle, but it starts to come out more and more, especially as you're working out and you're boosting that testosterone a bit more, right, on top of the things you're taking. And then the voice does start to change, and unfortunately, like, again, I'm 30 years old, I haven't been on any kind of PEDs since like 2018. The voice change is still there, it's permanent, and unfortunately it's nothing you can do about it. But that is like one of the worst, I wouldn't say the worst, one of the most unpleasant side effects that I think a lot of women have to deal with as a repercussion of taking those things. And it comes on very gradually. So it's not like you take like, you know, your first dose and all of a sudden you're talking like this, right? Yeah, like, no, it's like you're normal, you're normal. And then I think it's like a certain point after a couple months where the body is like really full of this stuff where the voice starts to change a little bit, and it cracks a bit and you're like, what's going on? Kind of like, you know, like hitting puberty type thing, like what's going on, like, and then it just becomes this like much deeper, more bassious voice that you can't get rid of, right? So that's, yeah, it's one of those.
What health issues you had to go through as you were on the cycle or when you came off the cycle? I know about men, but women I don't.
Yeah, so with men it's a little bit more like straightforward. With women it's a little bit all over the place. So the first thing I did notice was the absence of period. So your menstrual cycle stops. Like, it's not instant, but gradual. You notice that either your cycle changes or it just completely goes away. Now, whether that's because you drop a lot of body fat or because your actual hormones change, it could be coming from both ends, right? And then the next thing is definitely like you start growing body hair, like uncomfortably, like in places that women usually don't have like that type of hair. And again, it's not like like you just get it once and then it goes away when you come off of a cycle. It's like these things stay for a while. For me personally, it was more so of the menstrual cycle issues. I started to lose my menstrual cycle, and then things like my hair started to fall out. Noticed like very thinning of the hair, and I'm like, well, that's weird. Like, why is my hair falling out? Your skin changes a little bit. Like the texture becomes a little bit more rough. And even like your jawline, like some girls like having a bit more of a chisel jaw, but sometimes it doesn't come out as nice because you lose your femininity, right? And then I also faced a lot of like things with my thyroid and stuff like that. So it takes an impact on all of your hormones, not just your reproductive hormones. It affects things like your cortisol, affects things like your thyroid. So you basically start not being able to control your body as well. And the worst part is my nails are really brittle too. Mm-hmm. So that's another creepy one where like your nails are literally falling apart, whether it's because your body's just not able to absorb things properly because of a bunch of other stuff. But basically your whole system takes a hit, and to reverse it for a woman is much harder. For a man, it's a little bit easier. You can just stop it and kind of bounce back, right?
Yeah, you do a cleanse and then you do like PCT and all. For women, what a woman has to do to get off and what, because I believe as you starting or as you in between, you still have to get the, if you're doing it right, you have to get the blood work done.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
100%, yeah.
If anybody is doing it, make sure you get your blood work done. But
super important.
That's very important, right? So when you come off, so for a girl perspective, like what a girl has to do.
So when you do come off, one of the easiest things is just to come off and stay off in terms of letting your, like basically without getting too into deep, letting your brain and your organs communicate and start producing their own hormones again naturally. Because when your body's so used to external sources of hormone, it'll shut some stuff down and overcompensate with other things. So the best thing to do is come off first and stop. Then look at things as like mainly what you want to focus on is like your vitamin and mineral consumption, because after performance enhancing drugs, your body doesn't absorb things as well, especially like calcium, vitamin D. So checking those with your blood work is really important. And then sometimes if it's necessary, if it's like a really bad case, you might have to take estrogen therapy, because some girls that push it that far, they shut down their whole system and they need help from other hormones that are like female hormones now. And then the most important thing is just going to be basically, like I said, making sure that like you eat properly afterwards and you increase your fat intake, because cholesterol is really important for a woman after she comes off of steroids to help the body start producing hormones again naturally, right? Those are like the main things I would say. That's essentially what I had to do, is like do a lot of extra supplements for like my hormones, and then make sure I eat like a really high fat diet to let my body catch up on its own processes pretty much. So
she was competing, that's why she took PED. You didn't compete.
No.
Why you were taking PEDs?
I just wanted to get big. I'll be very honest with you. Like, ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਜਿਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, I'm like, yo, you're huge, bro. Like, ਤੂੰ compete ਕਰਦਾ ਆ? Or ਨਹੀਂ ਭਾਜੀ, ਮੈਂ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਵੱਡਾ. Like, it's, you know, I want big muscles. I want to be big and strong. So, initially, ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ bodybuilding ਦੇਖੀ, I'm like, I want to compete. Before you've ever done any PEDs, I'm sure everybody has thought like, okay, ek cycle laake main bada ho jana hai, and like I want to be Mr. Olympia. And so initially, I'm just going to take 1 or 2 cycles. I'm going to go compete, whatever. But when I actually took my first cycle, I was like so disappointed. I was like, oh man, okay, maybe my correct cycle nahi liya, or maybe main hor chahida hai,
maybe it's fake stuff,
or like I don't know. So over time, I realized, I'm like, okay, like this isn't really doing what I think it's gonna do. So I had taken like numerous cycles up until I realized, I'm like, oh, I don't have the genetics to be Mr. Olympia. I don't have necessarily at that time the work ethic it took to stay on. I was vegetarian. Like I wasn't even eating meat, so I didn't have the correct diet either. Not to say you can't do this vegetarian, but it's much harder.
At one point, you told me your dad knew about it.
Yeah. First cycle to pata si. No.
And how was his reaction?
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ why, right? And I kind of had a feeling, I'm like, okay, do chache hai gaya. I'm like, I knew for a fact ek chache ne kita hai. He's sitting in UK. I'm like, I think ona ne kita hai. Te dusre chache, he was pretty jacked. He wasn't necessarily like mad about it, because at the time he was more pissed off about main nashe karda ya, dusre like weed karda ya, and like I'm selling drugs and stuff. He was more concerned about that. He's like, "Pot je tu gym jana ya, tu bahut acha karda ya. Like good. Stay in the gym. Get away from that stuff. If you want to do this, if you want to do bodybuilding, okay, fine. But oh cheejan je to galt karda ya, oh chhad de." Right? So he wasn't too mad about it, considering like my aa cheejan karda ya te comparatively, like what would you rather have your kid doing, right?
Well, I have a question for you. I can ask him as well, but I think you will give me a better answer. So I know some girls, right? When they were in their 17, 18, or maybe even 16, they took some stuff, right? And in days, the body, I don't know, what do you call it? It's like gets big, respond, right? And those girls, they used to do modeling back in the days, right? And we all were surprised, what happened here? Because I normally used to see these girls in the gym, and they don't train as hard, right? And maybe you have a picture in your head right now as I'm talking.
I think I know.
So after when they stop taking stuff, they don't know how to recover, what to do to recover everything. So they just get big.
Yeah.
And then they say we have thyroid. That's why we're big. Right. So if you want to give me like what is the normal thing a girl normally takes and thinks, because when the girls are young, they want to look mature. When they're mature, they want to look young. Right. So I have a little bit of idea what they take, but since you are a coach, you can answer this better. So
A lot of women will abuse Anavar and T3. That's thyroid hormone. Simply because, again, Anavar will make you harder and bulkier and more muscular and leaner. And then T3 accelerates your thyroid, which makes you lose weight quicker or like leans you out. So when they say that they come off their their stuff, or like you see them and they're big and then they're not and they're just fat after, it's because they most likely shut down something in their thyroid. Because when you take external thyroid hormone and then you stop, your body, by theory, should come back to normal, but sometimes it doesn't. And you just did a wonder on yourself and messed up your thyroid. So now you do have a thyroid problem. So that's one of the most abused ones I see is clenbuterol, which is it's basically an asthma medication for horses. They use it to get really lean. So clenbuterol and then T3 are like the biggest abusers, I think, for females. And then the T3 is the one that has the worst impact, because if you didn't have a thyroid condition, now you do. And now you need to be on thyroid medications for probably a very long period of time. So that's most likely what's happening there.
And what do you think when you go in the gym? That's a question for both of you guys. When you go in gym, out of 100, how many people are taking PEDs?
Ooh, it depends the gym you go into, but I'd say if you go into a bodybuilding gym, like maybe 80 to 90% of people are on steroids.
And some of them, they don't look like they took anything.
Yeah.
I would say the majority of people on anything don't look like they even train.
Yeah, that's the sad part.
Right?
Yeah.
So
Can you explain that a little bit? I know, but I want you to explain.
So because I've been that person who sells the steroids to the people, and I've seen their progress or their lack of progress, and these are guys who are taking things like Tren. It's one of the most powerful steroids. And jadon bande di body dekhi, it's like, bro, you don't even work out. Body de vich paunda ki a tu haje daru pinda a chitta karda a bhang pinda a diet we need training kind of like what are you doing with your training, right? So majority of the guys that I've seen, and I know for a fact they're on steroids, they're either claim natural, right? And they look like decent.
How many naturals are natural?
From the people that I personally know for a fact that have taken stuff and claim natty, too many. I think there's more fake natties than there are people who are honest about it. And my personal opinion is, je tusi kuch kaam karna hai and you're going to feel ashamed of it, oh kaam na karo.
Yeah, but the business comes when you take stuff, you get in shape, you look sharp, and you tell people you are natural. So that's how you get the clients, no?
Initially, that was true. But in today's age, let's say 2025, very easy to tell if somebody is natural or not. I think that whole fake natty era is dying down, although they're still very rampant, but it is dying down just because you can see, like you said, these people will blow up in size and then there's only so much you can use up until it's so obvious. So you either keep using to the point it's like, okay, bro, like you're on stuff. It's too obvious. Or they lose everything. And at that point you can see like, je tusi sachi natural hai. Your body should not decline like that. But ਜਦੋਂ PED use ਕਰਦੇ ਆ short periods of time ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਰੋਕ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, they're going to lose it. And that's now we can catch up and see like, okay, bro, like 4-5 ਸਾਲ ਪਿੱਛੋਂ like you were super jacked.
Yeah, I got sick.
Yeah, ਮੈਨੂੰ injury ਹੋ ਗਈ, I gave up, my business, family, whatever, right? So but then what the das ke they don't believe it. So I think it's a lot harder now, and I feel ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਦਾ I am honest, right? They feel like, okay, like at least if I get coaching from this guy, he's not gonna lie to me.
Yeah, that's the big.
Right? So what I found is being honest goes longer in the terms of coaching business than lying to people, because even your clients will begin to find out. Yeah. And that in the long term will ruin your business. And I've seen it where I've seen people who were fake natties who did initially get a really high intake of clients coming in, but then they lose their physique, right? They get off the stuff and the lies don't stick anymore and their entire business is gone. From the time I worked at Good Life, out of, let's say, 20 trainers that I worked with, there's only 1 or 2 remaining who still do it.
Natty or not natty, that's the different story. But if you're a coach, you think posting transformations, is that important? Because I know from a fact, on the same day I can take before and after pictures, right? And there are people in GTA who post a lot of fake transformations and people know about them, but they still push it a lot. So you think that plays any role in getting clients when you just non-stop posting, like in one picture, the client is standing like this. Obviously, you're going to see the stomach. And the next picture, you make him stand like this. Obviously, he's going to look flat and their biceps. You never show the bicep in the first picture. And they think people who are watching them are stupid. Right? Am I just... What do you think as a coach? Is that happening in GTA?
100% happening. It's happening everywhere, to be honest with you. What I find is you can have one of two type of coaches. A coach who focuses just on quantity. I need more clients. I have 100 clients, 150 clients paying me, $150, $250 a month. Versus what me and her do is we take a very select type of a client. We work with a handful of clients that we can manage, that we can put all our effort into. And we don't post those types of transformations where it's like you can fake it. They're usually longer term progress pictures. And there's other things involved aside from just pictures. Mindset, that transformation vi hoya, lifestyle, what was the time frame. So although initially, yes, aa cheezaं hundiyan ya, it just depends on the type of coach and the type of business model they have. If you have the type of business model that's going to just clients, of course, if you just take 1 million people and you show them this crazy transformation, could be morning to night, same day, there'll be people who believe it 100%.
They'll buy it.
They'll buy it.
They'll buy your program. They'll buy your coaching because they see, they're like, wow, I want to, get like that too, right? So it's...
Since you guys don't put a lot of transformation, how do you get your clients?
I think a lot of it is through, unfortunately, a lot of it is through word of mouth, because we work with a very selective amount of people that want to commit to something that's a little bit more than just give me abs in 6 weeks, right? These are people who either have legitimate limitations with their lifestyle, or they're sick, or they're unhealthy, or they are I'm at that point in my life where I want to change my life radically, please help me, right? And again, word of mouth and the content that we do put out and the messages that we do try to send, they tend to attract similar mindset people that want the same thing rather than just a quick overnight fix or lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks, right? We choose not to work with those people because we realize that that's a type of person or a personality that's going to do their whole life like that. They're going to want quick, and they're more likely to go down the routes that we necessarily don't want them to, and also adherence. They're not going to adhere to what we give them as well as somebody who's I want to do this long-term, committed for a few months, up to a couple of years, to transform my life. So a lot of it's through word of mouth, a lot of it's through referral, and then we do get quite a bit of inquiries online, but we're very selective with who we take on. So we don't just take on everyone. We're we have a pretty good aptitude test we put our clients through to make sure they're a good fit for us. Our mindset is obviously a little different. We're a little bit more harsh with certain things, but we basically pick through our inquiries. So we're a little bit more rigid with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But what do you guys think about, the gyms, starting from Canadian Bodyworks, and I'm talking about gyms in GTA, I would say more so Brampton, right? Because there was one good gym it used to call Canadian Bodyworks, right, at Kennedy and Steele. Then LA Fitness took over. Then that gym started going down. That new Good Life Fitness opened, right? Then after that, many gym opened, and they are not delivering or performing as they should. Now we are all at Mega Gym. So I want your 2 cents for each gym, what? Because I've seen you guys at each and every gym. So if you can give me why you switch from this gym to this gym and this gym to this gym, and why I see you guys every day at Mega Gym now.
So for me personally, it was the environment. Now, when we look at the environment, of course, you're looking at the gym equipment itself, but ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਵੀ environment ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ. They initially, my first membership was at LA Fitness on Fletcher's and Bovaird. Right? Nami Kolisi, I think 2012, 2011, something like that, right? I actually met her there, and 10 years ago. But I was always looking for a training environment that resembled that of a bodybuilding gym. Jehde serious bande utthe honde a, machina vi mainu mildiyan a. It's not too packed. There's not too many kids with 5 or 6, group of 5 or 6 taking up a machine for 20 minutes at a time.
I have 4 sets of dumbbells.
I have,
doing drop sets.
Right? Or the gym is a mess, or bande, saaf nahi karde, bencha nu saaf nahi karde, dumbbell nu wapas rakhde, weighta nu wapas nahi rakhde. I was always trying to find a gym that resembled that of which something I would keep myself, right? So gym environment has to be filled with people who are a little bit more serious, right? Whatever sport, whether you're bodybuilding, powerlifting, or sports, a little bit more serious. I don't want to be around kids that are just kind of coming in, doing whatever, right? So first was the LA Fitness. Fir my Good Life they job la liya, and it was okay in the beginning. Then I realized, oh my God, it's overcrowded, it's messy, the environment's not that great. So then we went over to, I tried some other gyms like Fusion and whatnot. There was another gym that opened up in Mississauga, that the big gym and really good equipment, Freebird Mississauga. And initially, we started going there because, hey, it's a great location. You guys got great equipment. But I soon after realized the environment became very similar to that of what I was trying to get away from. right? So it wasn't the gyms themselves, it was the environments that were curated inside the gyms. How are you treated at these gyms? How do people talk to you? Do they push you? Do they pull you away? Do they bring you down? I found that there were some gyms that you would talk to some people and manu they see like, okay, Kartar, you take steroids, why aren't you bigger? I would get comments like that from specific owners of certain gyms. And
I can tell what gym that is.
Right?
Yeah.
So मैं ਤਾਂ gym ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ like, yo, I want to be in a positive environment. I don't want to go to a gym where, you're looking down on me or like ਏਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ. I'm trying to help people. I'm making videos in your gym. I'm trying to like, have my coaching business. And why are you saying this to me? So that happened, and that kind of comments kept coming to me, and I'm like, bro, like, I've been nothing but nice to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be at this gym anymore.
Yeah.
Because I had started talking to people, and they were like, yeah, I get those comments too, bro. It's okay. I'm like, I am a person
And that
who,
gym is not cheap.
no, Bomenga.
Yeah.
And Durvia. Yeah. So I was going out of my way, driving half an hour, sometimes 40 minutes to go to that gym. And I was like, yo, like, if I'm not appreciated here and you're creating this hostile environment, like, I don't really want to be here. Right? And I've told him this myself. Like, I've messaged him and told him. So we had this conversation. So it's not.
And what was his reaction?
His reaction was something I expected. Oh, bro, my joke karda si, main taan, he kind of played it off, but he was also saying that, okay, manu dasya kyun nahi? I'm like, bro, like,
You're the sixth person telling me the same story.
Again, I've talked to very many people about this. So,
No. I mean, 6 different people told me the same story, which you're telling me. Not your story.
Oh, okay.
Similar
Okay,
experience.
similar
Yeah.
story. Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of felt as if he was kind of downplayed that situation and kind of brushed it off. I'm just joking, bro. Appa Punjabi ਏਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਆ. I'm like, no, bro, I've interacted with Punjabi people my whole life.
Yeah.
Right? In Brampton, at least the last, like, 10 years. I'm like, no one's treated me like that. So, that was my initial, I'm going to get out of this environment. They ਹੋਰ gym ਲੱਭਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ, honestly.
Yeah.
Sunny da Purana gym was
Bollywood Body.
ਉੱਥੇ ਗਿਆ, it was
Yeah.
closer to home. They obviously ਹੁਣ mega gym ਖੋਲ ਲਿਆ.
Yeah.
And I'm there and I feel like the environment is good. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਿਲਿਆ. I found everybody there has a good vibe to it. Machines obviously pretty good. Like, everything's new, nawaya. So only time will tell. But for me, the most important thing in a gym setting is the environment. But they thought to treat kada kar diya. How is everyone training? People are taking it seriously or not, right? So that's my thing with the gyms here.
What do you think?
Yeah, I've been also like, again, I've had my fair share of experiences with gyms. I started off, the first gym in Brampton actually I ever went to was one of the community gyms. I went to like the city of Brampton gyms. I was always one of the only ones ever working out there. And again, lack of equipment, smaller like environments. So that's when I transitioned out of like the community gyms into LA Fitness, the one on Fletcher's, same location as him. I worked there. I was there from 2012 all the way to 2017, from actually working there to having my like juice bar business there to then just training there. It's a lot of it's similar answers to him. The crowd, you kind of outgrow the crowd in terms of like the same people, the same faces, but also the environment, like the toxicity of the environment in terms of like when you work at a place and you also work out there, sometimes there's drama, sometimes there's like stuff with members, and you just kind of like get tired of that. So I transitioned from LA Fitness, which was decent equipment, decent vibe, but just I've been there too long. It was time to go. I tried Good Life. It wasn't bad either, but it was mainly like an equipment thing for me, where I was trying to do like, certain types of exercises and just the mass quantity of people at the gym, like peak hours, not peak hours. It's really busy. So that kind of, threw me out of there as well. And then I went to places like Crunch Fitness. I went to the one in Mississauga before. That was by far the closest gym that I really enjoyed because it had like good equipment, had like decent like hack squat, all these like good brands. And the environment there was pretty good as well. But again, the commute to Mississauga at the time was kind of iffy. And then when I met him and then we started going to different gyms, same thing. We went to Good Life together for a little bit, realized that that's not our jam just because of the equipment and stuff. Then we went to Freebird and similar situation where it was good, but up to a certain point where for me, because I'm a little bit more injury prone, certain like compilation of the equipment wasn't the best. Like there'd be, like crooked leg extension pads or like a handle that's broken. And I'm like, I'm paying a premium price for equipment that's already breaking. So I was like, this is no. And then finally we went to Sunny's old gym. We were there for a while because of convenience, which was good. And then at Mega Gym, I find that it has like everything. It has the turf for my training. It has all the equipment.
I love the turf.
The turf is great.
Yeah.
I see you on the turf all the time.
Yeah.
So turf is great. Equipment's great. And yeah, people are just, I don't know, they seem happier there. So that's a pretty big factor for me is like, I just like to see happy people training hard. That's pretty much it. So
How do you guys met? And when you told your parents about her, how was that reaction? And when you told your parents about him, how was that reaction?
Okay, so I met her 10 years ago, I think 2015 or 2014, at LA Fitness while she was working as a personal trainer. She was also in school at the time. I think you had opened up the juice bar?
Not yet.
Not yet. It was like a little bit after, right?
Still a PT.
So my first memory of her was I walked into the gym with my foam roller, which used to make fun of me. She thought it was a yoga mat. I was stretching.
I didn't know what it was.
But initially, I saw her sleeping under the PT desk, right? Her client came, she got up, and she just started training. I was like, what the heck is she doing? And then she would finish training her client, PT desk under saw janti si. So I'm like, yo, this girl's crazy, bro. What the heck? And then I kept seeing her. I'm like, I think she's doing a bodybuilding prep because I see like over the next couple of weeks, months, she's getting leaner, she's getting in better shape. They can see how she's training. She's training very hard. I'm like, oh, okay, very impressive, right? So initially, man, I just kind of talked to her like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you training for? And so I got to know her like that initially. They fast forward to COVID times. So that was very 5-6 years later. I had never really talked to her, but during the COVID time, I was posting stuff on Instagram about, the COVID and then the Russia-Ukraine thing started happening. The I was posting about it, giving my opinion. There were things that she was posting as well that I agreed with. So about that initial connection Bangi is we agreed on a lot of the same things because we were the small minority that were disagreeing with the mainstream narrative. And sare jehde mere friend sige unna na gal nahi hoyi. They were not really talking about this. At the time, my ex, Ovi Manu Kendi, and I'll never forget this, I would try to talk to her about it. Go find somebody else to talk to. So I'm like, okay, I gotta find someone else to talk to about this because I don't have anyone at home. So I found that she was open to talking about this. My gym khol gayi si, and I was starting to go back to the gym, and I started going very hard. Injury hogi. So my supplement store te gaya, I had to get protein वगैरह. I saw her card there. She does massage therapy. I'm like, okay, I know her. I'm like, I wonder if she's good. So I just kept the card in my pocket. I waited a week. I'm like, I don't want to go to a girl for massage therapy. I don't know how I feel, right? But then my injury got a little bit worse. I'm like, let me try. So I message bhejta, and she got me in. And at the time, मैं बंदियां ਨੂੰ train ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ garage ਤੋਂ. So मैं garage gym ਬਣਾਈ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਉੱਥੋਂ train ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. They was getting to that point where, okay, ਸਾਰੇ gym ਹੁਣ ਖੋਲ ਗਏ. I need to be in a gym setting to train my clients. ਥੋੜਾ ਜਿਹਾ extra charge ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹਾਂ. And when I went to go see her, she was at a gym that was inviting personal trainers to come and contract out of the gym. So I saw her for treatment. I started working there. They apni dosti uddan ban gayi. It's like, we would sit and talk. We would have coffee, pre-workout. I trained with her a couple of times. And from there, it kind of got to the point where the girl that I was initially with, was a Punjabi girl, I was completely checked out of the relationship. We didn't agree on anything. We were fighting a lot, ladai. And I was at that point where I wanted to leave. So yeah, I started to kind of question my ability to stay in a toxic relationship, not only for myself, but for her as well. And I think she was in a similar situation as well. And I would ask her as well as our other coworkers, like, yo, guys, what should I do? I'm stuck. They made a friend weekend. They see, like, bro, unu start de. Like, you paise chahiye, we'll give you money. Get out of that relationship, right? Because they knew me, they knew her as well. And so I left. She had left her relationship as well. Gave it some time, and just talking over this stuff, we began to realize, like, yo, like, you're cool. I like you. Like, you're very easy to talk to. We sat there and we would talk for like an hour, 2 hours. And we realized that we have a lot of interest in common. So we decided, why don't we try this? We went out for some coffee. We literally talked about it. Like, okay, we understand that we're from different backgrounds. And I was like, you know what? At this point, I don't really care. Like, we've both been in terrible relationships long term. I was in a bad relationship for 5 years. She was in one for 8 years. And at that point, I don't think either of us cared whether, like, I'm Russian or she's Punjabi or whatever. It's like, okay, at least we found somebody to, like, talk to. Things moved rather quickly. And when my parents found out about her, they had no bad reaction. Dusri na, they had a very bad reaction too, right? Because they see, like, be careful, because there were certain red flags that I had told them about with the other one. They're like, "Pote, be careful. Like, ਏਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਨਾਲ, don't mess around." And you know, not to, like, say anything bad about her or her family, but there were just certain dead giveaways that even me now thinking about it, it's like, bro, like, what were you doing? Right? So my parents did not have a bad reaction at all. They just asked her, like, okay, kudi kardi kiya? What's her, education? Like, do you like her? Right? And initially, like, I told them, like, all her education. They were like, badhiya. That's
Padhi likhi kudi hai.
Yeah. So my parents had no problem with it. Because I told them, like, look, like, I'm a little bit calmer now with her. Like, I don't fight a lot. Right? And well, yeah, no. It's like, oh, you can't really say anything to her. You can't, as a joke. But, like, in reality, like,
she will give you a good competition, like,
yeah,
But,
like, all of the stuff that I was looking for in a woman, I found in her, right? So she brought me a lot of peace. She helped me calm down a lot. Mera gussa bhi bahut thale aa gaya. They saw that change in me, right? They're like, "To khushi lag raha hai. Like, you look happy. Like, good. That's all we care about now." Because I had been through so much. I had left the house. All they wanted me to be was just to be happy with what I'm doing with my life and who I am with.
How was your parents' reaction?
It was really good. Like, again, I told you in the beginning, when they brought me to Canada, they knew, like, the dream of, like, if they ever had one of me marrying, like, a good old Russian man or something was out. Like, they knew what they got into. So from like a young age, I was again.
So you're saying you were in Brampton, that's why you had to find a brown guy?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. No, honestly, like, again, nobody really expects when love hits you, right? It just, we clicked. But my parents loved him from the first day. Like, the first time my mom ever met him, he helped us go to the airport because me and my mom were leaving to Portugal. He helped us, like, put the bags in the car and being such a gentleman. That's the first time my mom said, she's like, he held the door for me. What a gentleman. I'm like, that's it. She's sold. That's all you had to do. But no, they had a really positive reaction. And again, I was super blessed for that because I'm their only daughter, and the thing they said, like, the same thing, like, as long as you're happy and he seems to make you better. And that's the first thing they told him too, is like, you calmed her down, because I was crazy before, and like, you calmed her down, what did you do? So yeah, it was very positive. Again, I think we got both very lucky that our parents were just like, all right, kids, like, good job.
I just can't wait to see your kids, the Russian and Indian mix, and especially when they have the look and they speak Punjabi.
That's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Catch people off guard.
How long does it take for you to set her setup for the reels?
Okay, I've timed it, so it's taken me about adha ghanta to 45 minutes, depending on the setup, because I haven't nailed, like, a solid setup yet because we moved our office. So about 30 to 45 minutes per se.
And how long you take to write down your real script?
It, like, you know what? Because I come up with this, it takes me like a week because these ideas have to come into my head, right? Like I'll randomly be like sitting on the bed and I'll say a line. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to put this in the script. So like they come to me randomly. So it takes about a week. That's why I don't put out so many. But yeah, for about a week to a couple hours for sure.
Yeah, the one thing I like about your reels, you keep your identity alive in your reels. Like you speak the way, one should speak. Well, and it's not like you're hiding that you're trying to fake an accent.
Yeah.
You're just...
It's there.
Yeah,
it's there.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I was raised here. It would be thicker, I'm sure. If you
Yeah. And his content, I told him in person many times, like, you guys put a lot of time and energy in your content. And I personally really like it. It's just a matter of time. It's just going to grow. Right? Sure. Just keep pushing it. And the reason why I want you guys to invite on the podcast, because I care more about the energy people I'm attracted with. Right? It's not about how many followers you have, how popular you are, right? Because I've done podcasts with people who have so many followers, but their personality is, and I told you about one. So I felt really good talking to you guys, right? And I love seeing you guys in the gym, right? And I want to wish you guys very good luck for your future, because you guys have a lot of talent, and on top of the talent, you guys are honest, right? So this will go far, very far. And in the future, if you guys need any help from me, like, I'll be there.
Thank you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it so
That
much.
means a lot.
Well,
You've already helped me so much with the initial, the camera setting. So
yeah, that's knowledge ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹ ਵੰਡੇ ਤੇ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਆ ਦੁੱਖ ਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਵੰਡੇ ਤੇ ਘਟਦਾ right? So I try to, as much as I can, because there's no point I'm going to keep that in me and take it somewhere.
Exactly.
If I give it to somebody, you will learn, you will grow. That will make me happy, right? But thank you guys for coming to the podcast. If at the end you guys want to say something, floor is yours.
I'll say one thing. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
100%. See you guys in the next podcast.
Awesome.